the FOMO was way too real the last time that this readathon was happening, so I decided, fuck it, I'm going in. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife and today I'm taking you through my September reading plans, which are sponsored by Becca's Bookoplathon. I've never taken Bookoplathon before, so this is my very first time doing it, and I do not know if I have done it correctly, but we're going to give it a try. Bookoplathon was created by Becca from Becca and the Books. It's her monthly TBR game that she plays every month, but every once in a while, she kind of opens it up as a readathon. Sometimes it's like a 48-hour sprint one, and more often it's a month-long one. I saw what was happening in the 48-hour one at the start of the year and I loved the concept of it, but it was kind of too late for me to get involved really heavily. So I thought, I'm going to take part in the next one. And the next one has arrived. It runs across the whole month of September and I have got my TBR picked. I had to do my rolls off camera because I don't own a printer to print out the board and I don't own any dice, so I had to do all of that online. But I got 5 rolls, I didn't get any doubles, so I just have to read 5 books, and we're going to take a look at what those are. The first roll that I got brought me to TBR Vet, and for that I chose Girlhood by Kat Clark. This also appeared on my These Books Are Going to Self-Destruct book, which is good because I've given myself within that year to read this. I will be very honest, I'm not entirely sure what happens in this book. I know that it's a YA contemporary book, but I have absolutely no idea what the plot is. The back of the cover is actually more of a quote from the book than a blurb itself. So I'm going into this one completely blind. But I'm really excited to see what happens in it. The next row brought me to Who, and for this one you have to read a book that you don't really hear people talking about in the book community. For this one, I chose Will They Won't They by Portia McIntosh. Portia McIntosh is one of my favourite contemporary romance authors. I absolutely loved every book of hers that I've read so far. Will They Won't They is Portia's most recent book, and it will actually be coming out in the run of the readathon. It actually comes out on the 7th of September, but I already have a copy from NetGalley that I'm going to try and get to in the month of September. This book follows Emmy, who is the star of a huge fantasy TV show, but scandal strikes, and to kind of take refuge from it, she goes back to the seaside town that she grew up in. There's also a family tragedy that she has to deal with, so it's kind of good timing that she's going back anyway. While she's in the area, there's a Christmas pantomime going on, and her mother thinks that it might be a good idea for her to sign up to kind of get her mind off of everything and to keep her doing what she loves most. The problem is that she's going to be starring opposite her ex-boyfriend who she left the town to go to London for. The next 3 books all coincidentally also appeared on my 15 before 30 list, so I have got the perfect opportunity to pick them off here. First one was Cute, and for this one it was very much an open interpretation. You could read a book that had an animal on it, a book with a cute cover of it. For that, I chose to go for a romance, and it's not particularly a cute romance, it's more like a steamy one, but it is Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is the second in the Brown Sisters series, and it follows Danny, who is a PhD student, and she's kind of working on her PhD one day when she is trapped in the lift, and her rescuer is Zaf, the security guard who works in the building. Zaf's rescue of Danny attracts quite a lot of media attention, and they have the hashtag Dr. Rugbay dedicated to them. They decide then to ride this wave and pretend to date each other to keep everything going, and it's also going to be beneficial for a charity that Zaf is trying to raise money for. But, of course, real feelings start to enter the chat. Next up was a poll pick, and for this I went on Twitter and gave everybody 4 books that I had really wanted to read in September. They were About Us by Sinead Moriarty, The Dating Game by Sandy Barker, Reputation by Lex Carter, and Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. And the results were pretty one-sided towards Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. This also features a kind of a famous person romance in it, quite like Will They Won't They does. In this, you're following Marcus, who is one of the stars of a really big fantasy TV show, but he also reads quite a lot of fanfic about the show, and he does dabble a little bit in writing it. And you've also got April, who also writes quite a lot of the fanfiction about the show. And she has an online relationship with a guy that she doesn't know is Marcus from the show. I have really anticipated this and I am genuinely really excited to see how it plays out. The final roll that I got brought me to the of and an an. And I didn't really understand how this prompt worked, but it turns out it was super simple. All you had to do was read a book with the, an, of, and, or a in the title. For this one, I went with Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This is the book that was selected for the I Should Have Read That book club run by Shannon from 155 Books, Karis from Karis's Corner, and Charlotte from Coiny Reads. I've never read a Jane Austen book before, and I am really excited to finally be able to say, I know what all the memes are talking about. I have finally read a Jane Austen book, and my journey with Jane Austen can finally begin. Those are all of the books that the dice gave me for Bookoplathon, so they're all the books that I'm going to try and read in September. Which should I start out with? Which one of those is your favourite? Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.